Your biggest investor isn't a venture capitalist. It's your employer. Always has been. Most see work as trading time for money, but they're missing the real value: capital, tools, training. In other words, your employer is acting like a venture investor backing a startup, and that startup, it's your life. Pattern interrupt. Think about it. If an investor wired money to your startup every 2 weeks, would you spend it all on takeout and streaming subscriptions? Yet that's exactly how most people treat their paycheck. Let's start with the simplest example: employer retirement matches. Many companies say something like, if you invest part of your salary, we'll match a percentage. Think about what that means. You put in $100. Your employer adds another $100. That's an instant 100% return before the market even moves. If a hedge fund guaranteed 100% returns, they'd become the most famous fund in history, or be investigated by regulators. But this deal exists quietly in company benefit packages, yet millions of workers never take the full match. That's like declining an investor who offers to double your startup funding. Now let's talk about something even more interesting: the health savings account. Most people treat it like a medical wallet: doctor visits, prescription meds, bandages. But financially, that's like using a Ferrari to drive to the mailbox. Because this account has something rare: 3 tax advantages. First, money goes in before taxes. Second, investments grow tax-free. Third, withdrawals for healthcare are also tax-free. 3 layers of tax protection in one account. In the entire US tax system, that's extremely unusual. The smarter strategy: invest the money and let it compound for decades. Healthcare expenses later in life are almost guaranteed, which means the account becomes a tax-free reserve for retirement. Now imagine an investor offers your startup a $5,000 grant every year. No repayment, no ownership taken. You'd accept instantly, but companies already offer something similar: education benefits, professional certifications, training budgets. Many employees scroll social media for hours, but never spend 20 minutes filling out the reimbursement form. Every skill paid for by your employer increases your market value, meaning even if you leave the company, the investment stays with you. You're essentially converting company resources into personal capital. So how should you actually approach your job? Change the way you think about it. Instead of seeing yourself as an employee, see yourself as the founder of a startup called You Inc. Your employer becomes one of your early investors. Your strategy becomes simple: capture every dollar of employer matching benefits. Use tax-advantaged accounts to grow wealth efficiently. Use company resources to increase your skills and value. And convert your income into assets instead of lifestyle upgrades. But here's the part most people miss entirely. This isn't just a list of benefits to check off. This is a system. And if you treat it like a system, if you optimize each piece, something remarkable happens. The whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. Let me show you what I mean. The infrastructure you're already paying for. Think about everything your company provides just for you to do your job. The laptop on your desk, the software licenses, the high-speed internet, the conference rooms, the printers, the professional networks, the industry databases. Now ask yourself a question: how much of this are you using purely for personal growth? Because here's the truth no one tells you. Your employer has already paid for these resources. Whether you use them or not, the money is spent. And by not using them strategically, you're leaving value on the table. If you bought a gym membership for $100 a month but never went, you'd cancel it or feel guilty. But when your company pays for tools worth thousands, most people never even show up to the gym. Let's get specific. Many companies subscribe to tools like Adobe Creative Cloud, $600 a year LinkedIn Learning, $300 a year Tableau or data visualization tools, thousands per seat, project management software, Jira, Asana, Monday.com, design tools, Figma, Canva Pro Analytics platforms. If you have access to these and you're not using them to build skills, you're essentially watching money burn. Here's the play. Spend 1 hour a week learning a tool that's relevant to your field, not just for your current job, for your future self. Because 2 years from now, when you apply for a promotion or a new role, that skill becomes leverage, and it costs you nothing but time you were already at work. Now let's talk about professional development. Many companies have travel and conference budgets. They send employees to industry events, and most people go, attend a few boring sessions, and come back. But the smart ones? They treat conferences differently. They understand that the real value isn't the sessions, it's the people. Every person you meet at a conference is a potential future client, future employer, future business partner, future mentor, and your company paid for your flight, your hotel, and your ticket. You're networking on their dime, building relationships that will outlast your employment. If you started a business and someone offered to pay for you to attend networking events, you'd say yes instantly. But when your employer offers it, you complain about the travel. The mindset shift changes everything. We've talked about the mechanics, the matches, the accounts, the tools. But mechanics don't matter if psychology is broken. And here's where most people self-sabotage: the lifestyle inflation trap. You start a new job making $50,000. You're excited. You deserve nice things. So you lease a nicer car. You order takeout more often. You upgrade your apartment. By the time you're making $80,000, your lifestyle has expanded to consume every dollar. You're not richer. You're just spending more. If your expenses rise with your income, you haven't gotten ahead. You've just gotten comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of wealth. Here's the counterintuitive truth. The people who build real wealth often live below their means even when they can afford more. Not because they're cheap, because they understand something fundamental. Every dollar you don't spend is a soldier you send out to fight for you. That soldier goes into the market, or into real estate, or into your side business. And while you sleep, that soldier is working, bringing back more soldiers. But if you spend every dollar, you have no army. You're alone on the battlefield, working harder and harder just to stay in place. Here's where it gets specific to your job. Every time you get a raise, you face a choice. Most people see a raise as permission to spend more. The wealthy see a raise as permission to invest more. Path A: raise hits account to new car payment to lifestyle. Stays same net worth. Path B: raise hits account to automatically invested to net worth compounds. Same raise. Same starting point. Completely different destination. Pattern interrupt. The difference between rich and broke isn't how much you make. It's how much you keep, and what you do with what you keep. How your job unlocks other people's money. We've talked about your money. Now let's talk about using other people's money, because this is where wealth really accelerates. The mortgage game banks don't lend money based on your potential. They lend based on your provable income. When you have a steady job with consistent paychecks, you become eligible for the largest financial leverage most people ever get: a mortgage. Here's what that means. You want to buy a $300,000 property. With a job, you might put 5% or 10% down. That's $15,000 to $30,000, controlling a $300,000 asset.
If that asset goes up 5% in value, you just made $15,000 on your $30,000 investment. That's a 50% return. Not because you're a genius, because you used leverage, and that leverage was only possible because of your job. Without a job, that same $30,000 might buy you a small piece of a fund. With a job, that $30,000 can buy you a house. Same money, completely different outcome. The credit game. Now, let's talk about credit cards and loans. Your steady income makes you creditworthy. That means higher credit limits, better interest rates, more approval odds. Smart people use this to their advantage. They open cards with sign-up bonuses. They use 0% interest offers strategically. They build credit history that lowers their cost of borrowing for decades. But most people, they use credit to buy things that depreciate: a vacation, a TV, dinner out. Pattern interrupt. You're using your job's credibility to borrow money for things that lose value, instead of using it to acquire things that gain value. The tool isn't the problem. It's how you're using it. How your day job funds your escape. There's a massive debate in the personal finance world. Should you quit your job to start a business? And the answer is almost always no, at least not until you're ready. The runway concept. In the startup world, runway is how long you can survive without income. If you quit your job with no savings, your runway is zero, one missed payment away from disaster. But if you keep your job and build on the side, your runway is infinite because your job covers your bills and your side project grows without pressure. The night and weekend strategy. This is how most successful businesses actually start. Someone works a 9 to 5. They use the benefits we've talked about. They capture the match. They max the HSA. They learn on company time. They save aggressively. And then at night and on weekends, they build. A website, a service, a product, a client list, slowly, quietly, sustainably. Pattern interrupt. The people who successfully escape the 9 to 5 rarely do it by quitting first. They do it by building while employed, until the side project makes enough to replace the salary. Then they have a choice, and choice is freedom. The credibility transfer. Here's something interesting. When you start a side business, having a full-time job actually helps you. Clients trust you more if you have a steady job. Banks trust you more. Suppliers extend credit more easily. Your job lends credibility to your side project, even though they're separate. Use this. Don't hide your job on your side business profiles, leverage it. Running the math on a 30-year career. Let's make this concrete with actual numbers, because philosophy is nice, but math is math. Scenario A, the passive employee. You make $60,000. You contribute 3% to your 401k, just enough to feel like you're doing something, but your company matches 5% dollar for dollar. You're leaving 2% on the table. That's $1,200 a year in free money. You have an HSA, but use it for small expenses. You never touch the education budget. You get 3% raises most years and spend them immediately. After 30 years with market returns, you have about $400,000. Be not nothing, but not freedom. Scenario B, the strategic operator. Same $60,000 starting salary. You contribute 5% to get the full match. That's $3,000 from you, $3,000 from them, $6,000 a year invested. You max your HSA, $3,850 individual contribution. You invest it and don't touch it. You use $2,000 a year in education benefits to get certifications. Those certifications lead to faster promotions. You keep lifestyle inflation in check. When you get raises, half goes to investing. After 30 years with the same market returns, you have over $1.7 million. Pattern interrupt, same starting salary, same 30 years, same market returns, different by over $1 million. The only difference, how you use what your employer offered, the $1 million paperwork. Think about that, $1 million, because you filled out some forms, because you read your benefits packet, because you delayed gratification. That's not a theory. That's compound math. Why loyalty without strategy costs. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Staying at one company too long. Loyalty is admirable, but in the game of wealth building, loyalty without strategy is expensive. The valuation reset, every time you change jobs, you reset your valuation. Just like a startup raising money at a higher valuation, your new employer pays you more, sometimes much more, because they're competing for your skills. The signing bonus. Many jobs offer signing bonuses. That's pure capital injection. $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 just for signing. If you invest that instead of spending it, you've just added years to your wealth timeline. Pattern interrupt. The person who stays at one company for 20 years often makes less over their career than the person who strategically moves every 3 to 4 years. Not because they're disloyal, because they understand how markets work. Your value increases, your compensation should too. But there's a catch. You can't job hop without skills. And where do you get skills? From your current job's education benefits, from the tools they provide, from the network you build at conferences. It's all connected. The system feeds itself. What are we actually building toward? Let's zoom out for a moment. All of this, the matches, the accounts, the skills, the leverage, the side projects, what's the point? Freedom, not retirement. Most people think the goal is retirement. Sitting on a beach, doing nothing. But that's not freedom. That's boredom. Real freedom is optionality. The ability to choose, to work because you want to take a lower paying but more meaningful job, to take a sabbatical, to start something risky, to say no to bad opportunities. The threshold. There's a threshold you cross. It's different for everyone, but you know it when you hit it. The point where your investments generate enough that your job becomes optional. You might still work, but you don't have to. And that changes everything. Pattern interrupt. The people who cross this threshold almost never got there by accident. They got there by treating their job as a tool, by extracting every dollar of value, by investing the difference, by playing the long game. What to do? Monday morning. This is all great in theory, but what do you actually do? Let me give you a one-page plan. Step 1, audit your benefits. This week, log into your HR portal. Not next week. This week, find every benefit offered. Retirement match percentage, HSA, eligibility and contribution, education reimbursement limit, professional development budget, wellness benefits, commuter benefits, insurance options. Write them down. You can't use what you don't know exists. Step 2, max the match. Whatever the match is, hit it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you have to cut something temporarily. This is 100% guaranteed return. Nothing else in finance offers this. Step 3, open and fund the HSA. If you have a high deductible health plan, open the HSA, contribute as much as you can, invest it in low-cost index funds, pretend it doesn't exist. Step 4, take the Training Find One certification or course relevant to your career. Apply for reimbursement. Schedule the time. Finish it, then do another. Step 5. Automate the raise set up automatic investing. When your paycheck hits, money moves before you see it. Step 6. Use the tools. Pick one software tool your company provides. Learn it deeply this quarter. YouTube tutorials, practice projects, add it to your resume. Step 7. Go to the conference, volunteer for the next industry event. Network intentionally, collect contacts, follow up. The game is rigged in your favor. Here's what I want you to take away. Most people think the system is rigged against them. And in some ways, it is, but not in the way they think. The system is rigged for people who understand how it works. Your employer isn't just paying you, they're funding your future, they're offering free capital, they're providing tools and training, they're giving you credibility with banks and lenders. The question is, will you use it or will you let it expire? The difference between where you are and where you could be in 10 years isn't a bigger salary. It's using what you already have. Imagine your future self 10 years from now. They're looking back at today. What do they wish you had started? The match, the HSA, the skill, the side project? Start that thing. Today, not next month, not when you have more money, not when things settle down, today. Because your biggest investor has already wired the funds. The only question is, what are you going to build with them? If this shifted how you see your job even a little, hit subscribe because most financial strategies are never taught in school, and I break them down here every week. Now I want to hear from you. What's one benefit your job offers that most people ignore? Maybe it's tuition reimbursement. Maybe it's a wellness stipend. Maybe it's something weird like adoption assistance or pet insurance. Drop it in the comments. Someone reading might discover free money hiding in their own workplace, and if you found this valuable, share it with one friend who needs to hear it. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is show them they're sitting on a gold mine they didn't see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.